Let's all stand. All persons having any business before this honourable court, now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Alexis Aaron.
May it please the court, I move that Alexis Aaron be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexis Aaron be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Fatin Abdul Rahman.
May it please the court, I move that Fatin Abdul Rahman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Fatin Abdul Rahman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tasnim Nasiba Ali.
May it please the court, I move that Tasnim Nasiba Ali be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tasnim Nasiba Ali be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sean Vincent Buckton.
May it please the court, I move that Sean Vincent Buckton be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sean Vincent Buckton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Chelsea Francesca Delahunty.
May it please the court, I move that Chelsea Francesca Delahunty be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Chelsea Francesca Delahunty be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
George Anthony Dewey.
May it please the court, I move that my son, George Anthony Dewey, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let George Anthony Dewey be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
George Charles Farrugia.
May it please the court, I move that George Charles Farrugia be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let George Charles Farrugia be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Gopi Krishna Giritharam.
May it please the court, I move that Gopi Krishna Giritharan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Gopi Krishna Giritharan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dean James Hazisevavatsos.
May it please the court, I move that Dean James Hazizavestos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Dean James Hazizavastos be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isabel Jurakovsky.
May it please the court, I move that Isabel Jurakovsky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Isabel Jurakovsky be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Claire Pamela Patricia Longley.
May it please the court, I move that Claire Pamela Patricia Longley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Claire Pamela Patricia Longley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas James Lorcan.
May it please the court, I move that Thomas James Lorcan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas James Norcan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Erica Huang Nguyen Lee.
May it please the court, I move that my friend Erica Lee be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Erica Hong Nguyen Lee be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jacqueline Marin.
May it please the court, I move that Jacqueline Marin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jacqueline Marin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madeline Grace Mavro Manalakis.
May it please the court, I move that Madeline Grace Mavromanalakis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Madeline Grace Mavromanalakis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Renee Margaret McArdle.
May it please the court, I move that Renee Margaret McArdle be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Renee Margaret McArdle be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Luke William McCann.
May it please the court, I move that Luke William McCann be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Luke William McCann be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yelena Nastich.
May it please the court, I move that Yelena Nastich be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yelena Nastich be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rebecca Ninu Nuanon.
May it please the court, I move that Rebecca Ni Nuanon be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rebecca Ni Nuanon be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Claudia Jane Nolan.
May it please the court, I move that Claudia Jane Nolan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Claudia Jane Nolan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel Osman.
Registrar.
May it please the court, I move that Daniel Osman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Daniel Osman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Francesca Gabriel Warren Sydney O'Sullivan.
May it please the court, I move that Emma Francesca Gabrielle Warren Sydney O'Sullivan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Francesca Gabrielle Warren Sydney O'Sullivan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jessica Chi Pham.
May it please the court, I move that Jessica Chi Pham be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jessica Chi Pham be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ranjith Raj.
May it please the court, I move that Ranjith Raj be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ranjith Raj be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Adam Rifai.
May it please the court, I move that Adam Riffai be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Adam Riffai be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Uzma Sawa.
May it please the court, I move that Uzma Salma be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Uzma Sawa be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mervat Sayed.
May it please the court, I move that Mervat Sayed be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mervat Sayed be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sanjay Shandilia.
May it please the court, I move that Sanjay Shandilia be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sanjay Sandilia be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Louise Michelle Spooner Reinheimer.
May it please the court, I move that Louise Michelle Spooner Reinheimer be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Louise Michelle Spooner Reinheimer be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Haridin Omar Sultan.
May it please the court, I move that Haridin Omar Sultan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Haridin Omar Sultan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Chan Yi Yu.
May it please the court, I move that Chan Yi Yu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Chan Yi Yu be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for the purpose of swearing an oath or making an affirmation that all those being admitted today stand up and remain in your current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Alexis Aaron. Fatin Abdul Rahman. Tasnim Nasiba Ali. Sean Vincent Buckton. Chelsea Francesca Delahunty. George Anthony Dewey. George Charles Farrugia. Gopi Krishna Giritharan. Dean James Hazi Savastos. Isabel Jurakovsky. Claire Pamela Patricia Longley. Thomas James Lorcan. Erica Huang Nguyen Lee. Jacqueline Marin. Madeline Grace Mavro Manolakis. Renee Margaret McArdle. Luke William McCann. Yelena Nastich. Rebecca Nee Nuanon. Claudia Nolan. Daniel Osman. Emma Francesca Gabriel Warren Sydney O'Sullivan. Jessica Chi Pham. Ranjith Raj. Adam Rifai. Uzma Sawa. Mervat Sayed. Sanjay Shandilia. Louise Michelle Spooner Reinheimer. Haridin Omar Sultan. Chan Yi Yu. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? Would you please resume your seats?
Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today to my right is Justice Brereton, who is a member of the Court of Appeal and to my left, Justice Schmidt, who is an acting judge of the Common Law Division of the Court. Together we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You all worked extremely hard to get here through caffeine-fueled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbook and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as lawyers that fear will never materialise. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, and now have understood that the Constitution consists of so much more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath date back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or more likely for your family and friends, that's how long it feels that you've been studying. On that note, I'm also pleased to welcome those with you today or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends has been invaluable. No doubt they have also often been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, swearing of oaths, and even our somewhat unusual choice of fashion. I recall on one occasion some years ago, a young member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. I was very sorry to disappoint. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that over the past 2 years, we've had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can probably attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal systems interact with many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far and that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and amongst barristers in speaking roles before the High Court of Australia. It is heartening, on the other hand, to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. And you only have to look around this courtroom and then at the paintings on the wall to see that this is so. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction that it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say there are, of course, only a few lawyer jokes, the rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court, the administration of justice, and the other ethical duties that you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reason, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is foundational to upholding the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make the law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I would suggest the answer to those questions is emphatically no. The best advocates make their points simply and succinctly. Now, some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could also use that reminder, but don't pick up their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I would not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. But when you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the years, far too many to remember, although sometimes my colleagues take pleasure in reminding me of them. And even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that happens, I grit my teeth and remind myself that it's not a legal fiction that the High Court, or perhaps a majority of them, are never wrong. But in fact, even dissenting opinions sometimes become the law, and the law is better for them. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. This may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or take a step back when you need to. Also remember, the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that throughout my career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, the other barristers in my chambers could always be counted on to share my disappointment at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. Now, I hasten to add, I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those sitting with me today, I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
Silence, all stand.